Hey, Jules Blessed Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. So I titled this, Have You Thanked God for Finding Veganism? Question mark. And that may seem weird to some people, but I was listening to the readings today at church, and though I absolutely apply them to my spiritual walk, I can't help but see the parallel to being vegan. So I wanted to share that, and mostly it's about healing, and that was like the whole theme. Asking for healing and then actually healing and remembering to say thank you. And I think when we think of today with the standard American diet and the insanity at the pace, the temptation and food-like products and toxicity and all of those things are coming at us, from regular TV to cable to social media to billboards that now rotate, right? Digital billboards that rotate and show all of the nonsense, even when we're being held captive on freeways for hours at a time, and you really can't escape it. So I feel like if you have even attempted to become a vegan, if you've even been called, literally called, to change your way of eating from the very common choice that everybody pretty much makes, to me, that seems like it's from God. And if it is from God, you might want to take a moment to thank Him. Seriously. So today's readings, the first one was the 2 Kings from the Old Testament. And I'm just going to give a summary about it. So Elisha, who was the follower after Elijah in terms of leaders. Let me think, is that right? Elijah and then Elisha. I believe that's right. Anyway, a king came to him, and the king, his name was Naaman, and in desperation, he had tried absolutely everything to heal his wounds, and he probably had something similar to, of course I can't even think, but let me think. I will find it. My brain is a computer. It's in there. Leprosy. Thank you. It was probably something similar to leprosy. And it says, so he went down and he, forgive me. Okay, so he came to Elisha, and it's pronounced Elisha, but he came to Elisha begging, saying he tried everything, much like we try every dang diet out there to try and heal all the ailments that are a direct result of the standard American diet and all of the stuff that we've engaged in. So we try all of the little fly-by-night diets to no avail. And finally, by grace, you come back to the simplicity of food produced by God, just plants and fruit and things derived from plants and fruit. And suddenly those ailments start to go away. So this guy who tried everything heard about this guy named Elisha, who was someone following that weird Yahweh, known as, the God of Israel. And he was like, whatever, I'm just going to go and ask. So it says, so he went down and immersed himself 7 times in the Jordan River, because that's what Elisha said he would have to do. And that was humbling himself big time, because he was a king, and like most kings, he had beautiful robes and tons of jewelry and servants, right? And a whole gang of people who followed him, much like paparazzi, right? And not only did he have to immerse himself 7 times, and in the Bible 7 is the number of completion, but he had to be naked while he did it, which in a way is like completely humbling yourself, right? And so I'm sure initially he was like, I don't care, whatever. But out of desperation, that's when you are sick and tired of being sick and tired. He was willing to do whatever it takes. Just like me, trying to find this way. I'm finally at a place where I'm like willing to do whatever it takes. Oh my gosh, I need change in my life. So he was willing to do whatever it takes. So Elisha told him to dip himself 7 times in the Jordan River naked, and returning to Elisha with his entire escort, because his flesh became clean once more like the flesh of a little child. his entire escort, all that paparazzi, all the wannabe.coms, right? To say, now I know that there is no God anywhere on earth except in Israel. Now please accept a present from my servant. And it goes on to explain why he declined and how the guy, tried to make amends anyway by letting his servant have it. But what interested me most, and what I really felt like relates to our stuff, is the gospel, which means it's Jesus' words, according to Luke. And this is Luke 17:11 through 19. So it says, now it happened that on the way to Jerusalem, he was traveling in the borderlands of Samaria and Galilee. This is Jesus, right? As he entered one of the villages, 10 men suffering from a virulent skin disease came to meet him. So again, at the time, it was some form of leprosy, but today it's all the ailments that we're having. They stood some way off, these 10 men. They had to, because, they were outcast for having obvious disease. Much like so many people today, if any symptoms of your disease are daring to rear their ugly head, whether it's an inability to walk, to talk, whether it's such obesity that you can't even move or function, whether it's brain fog that doesn't allow you to recall information fast enough, like anything in our society that dares to put in people's face what could possibly be next for them. People are outcast. So these 10 who had to be separate called out to Jesus, Jesus, Master, take pity on us. And they called so much that Jesus was like, just get them over here. When he saw them, he said, go and show yourselves to the priests. Which today would be get clean with your truth. You know what I mean? For Catholicism, I just go to confession and tell all my business to the Lord. But the priest understands he's just an intermediary. He just sits there because we're supposed to profess on our lips the problem. But obviously in these support groups and all of the people who are striving to just tell anyone your truth, right here at JulesBlessedVegan, to just tell your truth. That's all he's saying. Go and show yourself. Stop hiding. What are you doing in secret? Bring it to the light so that you can be free of it. So he said, go and show yourself to the priest. And as they were going, they were cleansed. So yeah, once you live in your truth, you will begin to heal. So finding himself cured, and this is just one individual, one of them turned back, praising God at the top of his voice, and threw himself prostrate, so lying down prostrate, at the feet of Jesus and thanked him. The man was a Samaritan. So Samaritans weren't even allowed to be with Jews, right? So he's an outsider. Well, same thing again. Some people were actually raised in health. Some people actually have been vegan for most of their life, or certainly vegetarian. And some of us, it was completely foreign to. We would be the Samaritans. This is so foreign to us. But this is the one person who dared to come back. Those who sort of had health didn't bother. So this led Jesus to say, were not all 10 made clean? The other 9, where are they? So again, taking that moment to say, wow, and if you're not a God person, that's okay. But can you rejoice? Can you share the joy of the smallest signs that you are healing? The smallest grace that life-giving food is giving you your life back. Can you just proclaim that? Even if it's not to Jesus or God. Because just the celebration of that will make other people hopeful. And that's worthy, right? Were not the other 9 made clean? It seems that no one has come back to give praise to God except the foreigner. And he said to the man, stand up and go on your way. Your faith has saved you. And, that's the same thing. You're daring to go in a different direction than the mainstream. That alone will save you. those baby steps, the falling back and trying again, the showing up, the risking, the informing yourself, the striving to get what you need, to choose life, that alone has saved you. I'm going to read it in its entirety. I hope you can relate. Luke 17:11-19. Now it happened that on the way to Jerusalem he was traveling in the borderlands of Samaria and Galilee. As he entered one of the villages, 10 men suffering from a virulent skin disease came to meet him. They stood some way off and called to him, "Jesus, Master, take pity on us." When he saw them, he said, "Go and show yourselves to the priests." Now as they were going away, they were cleansed. Finding himself cured, one of them turned back, praising God at the top of his voice, and threw himself prostrate. I keep saying prostate by accident, prostrate. And threw himself prostrate at the feet of Jesus and thanked him. The man was a Samaritan. This led Jesus to say, "Were not all 10 made clean? The other 9, where are they?" It seems that no one had come back to give praise to God except this foreigner. And he said to the man, "Stand up and go on your way. Your faith has saved you." I just love that. I love that because not very many take time ever to say thank you, and certainly not to recognize the gift of God. That whenever something is free or simple, I know it's from God. I can trust it. You know, the 12-step program is by donation. The church is by donation. The simplicity of the body of Christ, like in the wafer, a bread that all the world can have, wine that all the world can have. It's common in every single society. I know it's from God. Daring to give us fruit and vegetables, which inevitably will grow and plentifully. And you can even go to a neighbor who has a tree. Most people hate wasting so much that's falling to the ground. You can usually go to someone's house and say, "Hi, do you mind if I pick some of your fruit off your tree?" Or pick up the ones that have fallen. And they're like, "Yeah, less mess for me." I don't know if you'll try it. It's true. Most people will say, "Please do. We can't eat it all and it's going to waste." Simplicity is pure and from God. And I think these readings just remind me that we're finding the way, we're finding the truth, we're finding the better way to live. And whether you believe in God or not, he believes in you. And if he's the end game, you might want to say thank you on your way. I just love that Jesus even took a moment to say, "Weren't you all healed? What happened to the other 9? And I just like that Samaritan, once again, those Samaritans are a surprise. And that's another story for another day. But, you know, that the odd man out came back to say thank you. And I feel like that's a lot of us, you know. It seems like everybody's on their game. They all have all the stuff being vegan. And that it's new to us and we're faltering. And yet, a bunch of vegans are coming out of the closet, if you will, to say, "Sorry, you guys, I haven't been living truth. I haven't been living in the light. I'm not doing this the way I said." So, yeah, you know, when Jesus, and it's Yahweh, but again, it's all God and the Holy Spirit. It's all the same God who came as man in the incarnation of Christ. When Elijah, again, serving for God, said, "Immerse yourself in water." No surprise, we know the healthiness of water and the necessity of it and the purity of it. But naked. And the vulnerability of telling our truth and sharing who we really are at all times, there's so much freedom in it, but it's risky. Because you will hear from people, insecure nightmares who want to take you down. But you're in your truth. Be in your truth, right? All right. Like if you like. Join us if you haven't. Subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think below. And do know that I prayed for you at Mass, put you in the prayer book, thought of everybody, and wanted to share this interesting reading. which I will put above in the description of this video. And until we talk again, my friends, best of all, know that you're blessed.